Let me ask you about China.
China. Let's say China.
Let me ask you about China.
China. China. China. China.
Let me ask you about China.
China. China. China. China. China. China. China. China.
Let me ask you about China.
China.
Let me ask you about China.
You go over to China. 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 China.
Let me ask you about
China.
China.
China. You take China.
China.
China. I love them. China. 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 I have to have my
Let me
China.
ask you about
China.
China.
China because China. 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 China now. China. China.
Let me ask you about China.
I know China very well. China, 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 China.
China. China. China.
Northwest Wisconsin, where
Let
I'm
me ask you
from.
about
It's
China.
China to me. China. China, 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 China. You want to buy from China? That's great. Buy from China. Buy toys
me
from
ask you
China.
about China.
China in particular. China. China. I have people that I know in China. China. China.
Let me ask you about China.
China. China.
Let me ask you about
China.
China.
China. China. China. China. I've been saying China. 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 China.
Let me ask you about China.
China. China. China.
Let me ask you about China.
China.
Let me ask you about China.
China. I go to China. 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 People from China, they love me.
Right.
China.
Let me ask you about
China.
China.
China. China. China. China. China. China. In China, they say I don't like China. I love China. People think I don't like China. I love China. China. China is the new China, by the way. China. China. China.
Let me ask you about
I deal with
China.
China. China. China. Big league China. So don't tell me about China. I know China. 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 Whether it's China, China.
So if you went to China and you wanted to get a job in China,
I don't knock China.
Let me ask you about
How
China.
could I dislike China? A man from
Let me
China.
ask you about China.
China. You have China, Carl. Take China. 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 China, 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 China. China's
to get
over
him out.
here. Look at what China's doing. They're
Let me
learning
ask
from
you about
China.
China.
China, China. Okay.
look at that. Isn't that nice? China, China, China,
China. China, 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 China,
Let me ask you about
China,
China.
China, 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 China.
Let me ask you about China.
And by the way, I love China. I mean, I love China. How can you not love China? I love China. China, China.
Let me ask you about
China,
China.
China, 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 China. And you know China, 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 South China, China, China. People say, oh, you don't like China. I like China. China.
Let me ask you about China.
I love China. China. China all the time. China. When was the last time you heard China?